What is going on, guys? Joey here, and today I wanted to kind of explain why people shouldn't go heavy all the time, or when I say heavy, I mean like an absolute max, or like why it can be dangerous to do too much in the gym. I'll kind of paint a scenario and just kind of explain it to you guys. Please excuse the car noises, as I am, it's just really hard to find time to sit down and record without my dogs jumping on me or something going on at home. So I'm just going to record it in the car as I have a bit of a drive in front of me. So, first off, when people talk about singles, they oftentimes will associate that with a max. But I think we need to get in the habit of differentiating between taking a max, so like something that you do not have another rep in the tank of that is very hard, versus taking a single that's around an opener. Those are different, and we gotta separate that. I remember people, I haven't really heard it lately, just because I don't really put informative stuff out on IG too much, but people would sort of combine the two or see singles as a max, but it's totally possible to take a single that is not a max. And I think it's important to get that like different in your mind, right? Now, when I say you don't want to max out all the time, that does not mean that it is necessarily gonna ruin anything or cause an injury or mess up your training, your recovery if you take a single, right? It's about leaving things in the tank, right? Let's kind of talk about that. So if you take a max, like all out, let's do squat or deadlift, right? Because those two lifts, they are the most taxing to your body. To perform them all out. They're full body movements. For me personally, I like when I bench like heavy, I use my entire body. My back is fried after a grinder bench, like just completely nuked. I'm using my legs, my upper body, of course. It is definitely a full body movement, and I think that could be a tip to help people get more out of their bench, but that's an entirely different video. But sticking to those two big lifts, when you max out, there's going to be a lot of muscle damage. Some people like to talk about the CNS. I think the whole thing about the central nervous system and like posterior chain, like if you come, just as a side note, there's going to be very few instances where the CNS is fried, but the posterior chain isn't. Then again, there are other sports like CrossFit where you could be doing movements that don't necessarily use that. I don't know. Who cares, right? That doesn't really matter too much. That's like super overthinking right there. But the point is, like, if you max out on a squat or a deadlift, you have to pay the price for that, right? You guys hear me talk about paying your debts? You literally you're going to pay for that some way. Maybe you're going to have to go easy the next day. Maybe you're going to have to go easy the next couple days. You're going to have to pay for that, and everybody's different. Everybody has different recovery timelines, a recovery allowance. A single to a small lifter is not going to mess them up as bad as like a big, strong lifter that maxes out. That big, strong lifter is going to have to pay the price. They're going to have to recover and go easy until that recovery is paid back. You cannot really accumulate good volume sets. So, for example, right, I feel like I got to go do a review of like some of the lessons that we learned like 10 to 12, 15 years ago. Because I am dealing with the new generation of lifters. There's a new generation of kids that are coming in from TikTok, from Instagram, wherever. And there's just a lot of like fundamental, like especially with newer coaches, there's just like fundamentals that are missing because they never took the time to study or, just learn what the research says or what, all the super smart guys spend all their time like figuring out so that we could just have it easier, right? So, okay, so like let's say, you know, if you look at 5-3-1, right, or just like an older training method where you kind of like have one set where you go to failure, right? That is going to be a very disruptive set. It is going to drive growth to a point. But your total work in that one session is going to be far less than if you took a single or a top set at an RPE of 7 to 8, RPE of like 6 to 8, right? And then you have back down sets where you probably start around a 7 RPE and you work up to about an 8.5 RPE. It's just more work that you're doing. You're probably going to get a better hypertrophy response doing that. And that is, you know, especially for powerlifters, if it's in the rep range that you care about, right? Your sets of 5 and below, things like that. Although these new powerlifters, right? I do not limit my lifters to only staying in that rep range. But I do always incorporate something in the lower rep ranges because at the end of the day, we're trying to get stronger. But we also need to build muscle associated with the lift, right? Now, really quickly, all powerlifting training builds like 8 sets of 3 and 3 sets of 8 is like identical volume, but the guy doing 8 sets of 3 is going to be a little bit stronger. Side note, who the hell is going to do 8 sets of anything that's like 8 working sets? I mean, that's very mentally not fun. So, anyway, going back to what we were saying, if you max out on a single, how does this apply to you? Little Johnny listening to this right now, how does this apply to little Johnny, right? Little Timmy, little Kimmy, little Jessica, little Diana, whoever's listening, right? Well, if you go in the gym, and let's say like a typical workout that I give for people maybe in their first couple weeks of starting with me is, you know, they might have a top single at like an RPE 6 to 7, something like that. And then they'll have like a couple back down sets, anywhere from 2 to 5 back down sets, right? And let's just say they're doing like sets of 6. Which is kind of a shitty rep range, if you ask me. Just doesn't feel nice. It's like not too light, but not too heavy. Not too light, not too heavy. If you go in and you max out, your first set and your sets after are probably not going to be as clean. They're not going to be as good as if you left some in the tank. Same thing can happen on your back down set. You do your first set of 6 and you fucking send it. Like you got nothing left. That is going to be very, very, very devastating, and you're going to have to pay that back. You might as well stop the workout there, honestly. Like literally, there's no point in doing, like you're going to be so roasted from that all out set of 6. Absolutely atrocious rep range, right? That you might as well call it. Like what more are you going to be able to do that day? And we just know that for most people, because there's always like the one person who can just not do what everybody else does, and that just works for them. That's why it's always important as a coach to keep an open mind, because like I might come across an individual that's different, but it's going to be very hard to convince me of that. But I still am like aware of it. Like, okay, like this person might just do better with one set. You know, most people are going to do better getting one clean top single with 3 clean back down sets where the RP is sort of rising as they go through. What does that mean? There's a lot of lessons in this video, but that right there can mean that the work that you're doing is progressively becoming harder with the same weight. So you are in fact creating some form of overload because you are unable to maintain the same weight for many, many sets. You are stimulating growth. You are challenging the body to understand, to pretty much know, like, hey, I wasn't able to complete, 3 sets of whatever. I need to get stronger. So that's how you get adaptations. That's how people grow. That's how people get better. And that's pretty much a really good reason. Of course, like if you max out, you can get hurt. You could literally get hurt, and then you're not going to be doing no type of progression or nothing. You're going to be going backwards, right? But there's really not a need to max out, right? It can be nice mentally to hit a big number, but I just think you can increase your longevity by not doing those things, by leaving some in the tank. If you want to bench 400 pounds and you can take 380 clean, a clean 380, like it's heavy, but it's not like all out, you can do that 400 or get damn close to it, right? So what is the point of actually taking the 400 when there's like a lot more risk? You could mimic the form breakdown of a big single like that with many, many, many reps, right? Pausing, especially on bench, like doing a lot of pause reps. Rep 5, 6, 7, 8, around there. Your setup's going to be taxed. Your butt's going to be coming off the bench. You're going to be shaking around. That's going to be similar to what happens when you hit a big single. So there's just no point, right? There's like safer, smarter ways to do it. And like I said, you're going to have to pay that back. If you do something very cost heavy, I mean, you might be deloading the rest of the week. You might hit your Monday workout and you're deloading like literally the next 6 days. You know what I mean? And in the grand scheme of things, and to my lifters, I always tell them, if something comes to you, with more advanced lifters, this is something I tell them. Something comes to you, like I give you RP 7 for the day, but you feel insane. Like you know that if you go to RP 8.5, you're gonna hit a PR, lifetime PR. Maybe it's been a couple months since you hit a big PR. I'm going to weigh like, okay, what is the psychological benefit of them taking this PR right now? And like, does it damage the program? Does it mess up the program? Does it set us back? I might look at it and be like, due to our proximity of the competition, absolutely no, don't do that. Or I might look at it and be like, you know what? They've been really, really good. They've stayed in the pocket a long time. Their body is healthy. And I think they could push this to a PR and still have some in the tank. I'm going to go ahead and give you the green light. You know what I mean? I won't do that for everyone, but there are times when it is okay to call an audible. I usually talk about calling audibles to like down, like pull the weight down. But you can definitely call audibles to like go up heavier. RPE is going to kind of take care of that for you. If you have an RP 8 on your block and you're really fatigued, that weight is obviously going to be less than if you're feeling great. Then you're going to, like I said, let the PRs come to you. But if you're hitting an all-out max in the gym, it's like, what are we doing, right? Even if you were to do a mock meet, you got to do a big taper leading up to a mock meet, and then you got to hit it. And then, you're going to have to, like, the week after, you're probably not just going to be able to jump right back into it. Maybe like 2-3 days, you can go really easy and do that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. A lot of keys dropped in this video. If you guys made it this far, let me get actually, you know what? Let's do this. What are you guys excited for in 2023 in the powerlifting world? Excited for Sheffield? Are you excited for the Arnold thing? Are you excited for Nats, collegiates, worlds? Like, what are you guys looking forward to? Your own local meet, let me know. I want to hear from you. I will keep a close eye if anybody drops meets that they're going to be at. Anyway, yep, that's pretty much it. See you guys in the next one. Peace.